intimidating if you're new to the hobby with the DACs and the streamers and the Bluetooth and the phono stages and the preamps. Today's sponsor is the WIIM Mini Streamer. For less than $100, you can get a streamer that has its own application, brings in pretty much every streaming service known to man, can do Tidal Connect, Spotify Connect, Apple AirPlay 2, less than $100. And now, with the latest update, it can export full resolution 24:192 out of its optical digital output. If you're at all interested in getting into streaming and you don't want to spend an arm and a leg, the WIIM Mini Streamer is the way to go. So if you've been bebopping around on YouTube or reading any articles about getting into hi-fi, you've probably heard about separates. And separates are, well, just that. It's a separate component for each part of your stereo. So you would have a separate box for your preamp, a separate box for your amp, a separate box for your phono preamp, a separate box for your DAC, CD player, all that good stuff. But a lot of the products out there are what I call all-in-one amplifiers, or some people call them integrated amplifiers. For today's purposes, we'll be calling them integrated amplifiers. Technically, an integrated amplifier is anything that has a volume control and input switching, but don't worry about that, okay? So first and foremost, one of the reasons why I recommend an integrated amp to start with is because they're convenient. You don't have to worry about tracking down a whole bunch of different components. You don't have to worry about 75 different RCA cables getting tangled up in the back of your cinder block stereo stand that you made, and then you trip over something and it rips everything off. You don't need to worry about that because all the wiring is done internal. No external wiring. Like anything, there's compromises between going full separate components or an all-in-one integrated system. But for most people just getting into the hobby, a lot of times they don't even know what type of sound they're after. That's why an all-in-one integrated amplifier that has a very balanced sound signature is probably the place to start. Later down the line, you can start experimenting with different components to really dial in and discover what sound it is you love. Because that's the part of this hobby that is awesome, is determining what it is you really like. And if someone's telling you what something should sound like, they're wrong, okay? It's up to you. If you want to put gravy on your donuts, they're your donuts. If you want to put ketchup on your amplifier, you can. I don't know why you do that, though. Probably make a mess. So for today's video, when I say integrated amplifier, it's going to be an amplifier that you can hook speakers up to. It'll have volume control, it'll have input switching, and it will also have some form of a source, whether that be through Bluetooth or a digital to analog converter, phono preamp, or a streamer. So one of the integrated amps, all-in-one amplifiers that I keep coming back to and I recommend all the time is the IEMA D03. This is a Class D amplifier. It has volume control. It has a tiny display that you may find useful or maybe not. It has a power switch. Okay, power switch isn't really a feature, kind of necessary. However, on the back, it's got a DAC. Sorry. Also has Bluetooth. Also has a subwoofer out player. Anything that has a digital optical out. Also has a digital coaxial out. Just in case you want to hear the difference between optical digital and coaxial digital. Some people think it's better. Which one? Yes. Then it has an analog input right here, which means later on the line, if you want to get a external phono preamp, because this doesn't have an internal phono preamp. So if you hook up a turntable to this, that turntable needs to have an integrated phono preamp, or you're going to have to get a phono preamp separate box. But then you plug it right in here. And then your speakers just go here. Okay? So this is a great product. Why? Because out of the box, with a set of speakers, obviously you need speakers, you only got one set of wires and those are going to your speakers. The reason I like this one is, well, it sounds really good. A lot of lower cost Class D amplifiers can sound a bit harsh, not have a lot of body in the music, and you have to use a bunch of tone controls. Speaking of tone controls, this one has it. It also has a remote. So for $170, you can put this next to your TV, listen to movies, television, music, everything you need for the most part, except for a phono preamp. So if most of your music is done through the digital domain, whether it be through your computer, Bluetooth, or a CD player, The IEMA D03 is a great place to start. You may never even want to upgrade from that. It sounds so good. But if you want to, you can, because it's only 170 bucks. All right, next up. I don't remember this having an issue driving anything. This is a beast, the SVS SOUNDBASE. One of the best sounding Class D amplifiers. It sounds better than this one. And I would hope so, because this one's $500. Very similar functionality. However, the SVS SOUNDBASE adds a streamer. That streamer is based on the Play-Fi platform. That is not my favorite streaming platform, but it does work. Brings in Amazon Music HD, Tidal, Spotify, Qobuz, all sorts of stuff. On the back, this one also has an analog input. This one does not, just like the D03, does not have a phono preamp installed. So if you get a turntable, you want to hook it up to the SVS SOUNDBASE, you're going to need a turntable with an integrated phono preamp, or you're going to need to buy a phono preamp and then hook it into here. Also has a subwoofer out. Also has one optical in, and another 3.5 millimeter analog in. They have plenty of room on the back of this thing. I wonder why they didn't. Anyway, you can also hardwire this to the network. Also has Wi-Fi inside. Also Bluetooth. Okay, sounds great. Pretty cool looking. I always like the looks of this. Here's the one gotcha on this one. You can only do input switching on here. It does have automatic input switching. So if it senses that your TV just turned on or what have you, it should, in theory, switch the input. No remote control. And that's really the one and only drawback to this device, is that it doesn't have a remote control. Because that device sounds so good that if it had a remote control, it would easily be an integrated amplifier to beat at the price point. But it does not have a remote control. Sounds amazing, has gobs of power. If you want integrated streaming, you can do it through that. However, if you want integrated streaming, you can get the D03 and then get one of the WIIM. Still be under the price of that one. And you can optical out of the WIIM into the DAC on this one. Or you can try the internal DAC of the WIIM. See which one you like better, because you have both of them. Finally, the integrated amplifier that I really like a lot is the Emotiva TA1. I don't have it here. However, I will put up a picture. The TA1 comes in at $550. The Emotiva TA1 is what most people would consider a traditional stereo component. 16 inches or 17 inches wide, what most people think of when they look at a stereo component. It comes with Bluetooth. It comes with a integrated digital to analog converter, which handles USB, optical, coaxial. It will handle everything. The SVS SOUNDBASE does not have a USB input. So unless your motherboard has an optical output, you're not connecting a computer to the SVS SOUNDBASE. With the D03 and the Emotiva TA1, you can hook up a computer via USB. Also comes with a fully functioning remote control. Also comes with tone controls. SVS SOUNDBASE, no tone controls. TA1 from Emotiva, tone controls. D03 from IEMA, tone controls. The TA1 is also an interesting product because at $550, you're also getting a phono preamp. So you got a DAC, you got a phono preamp, you got Bluetooth, you got remote control, you got tone controls, but here's where it gets interesting. It has preamp outputs, which means when you get the upgrade-itis, which is going around, a lot of people are getting it right now, when you get that, you can add a dedicated power amplifier to the TA1. So now the TA1 fundamentally becomes a separate preamp. So you can grow with the TA1. Not only does it have regular preamp outputs, it has a preamp output that has a high pass filter on it. And that means bass management. What does bass management mean? It means it's going to take some bass away from your front speakers, send it to the subwoofer, which is actually a good thing because now your front speakers, if you have maybe some small bookshelves or small towers that can't go really, really deep, you're not sending those deep, deep notes to your bookshelves, so it's actually going to sound better and require less power. So bass management is very interesting on the TA1 because I don't know of a lot of integrated amplifiers really at any price that have bass management. There are some out there, of course, but at $550, the TA1 has a lot to like. Now the sound signature on this is a little bit boosted in the bass, a little bit boosted in the treble. It is going to be a sound signature that most people like. Are any of these amps the last word in detail retrieval? No, of course not. This is $160. The SVS SOUNDBASE is $500, and the TA1 from Emotiva is $550. These are foundational items that you can add to later. I think the TA1 has the most upside and the most long-term upgradability with the preamp outs. Also has some analog inputs along with the phono input so that you can add an external DAC later if you want to, or better phono preamp if you want to. This is where I think your journey into hi-fi should start, because it takes a lot of the frustration away and you're not going to get discouraged. You're simply going to be able to enjoy the music. Now, is it going to be exactly what you want? I don't know. It could be. But the beauty of this is you can be up and running with music in no time at all, and later you can start to dip your toe into different DACs, different phono preamps, different streamers, whatever it is, trying to spice up the music. The other cool thing about the TA1 is, since it does have preamp outputs, you can put an equalizer in between the TA1 and your power amplifier. Now you have all sorts of adjustability, which I bought personally before the channel ever started. So integrated amplifiers, I think, are the way to go if you're just getting into the hobby. I know a lot of veteran audiophiles that have been in the hobby for a long time that still prefer all-in-one amplifiers over separates. Personally, I like separates because I like the journey. I like the discovery. I like to just eke out the last bit of performance from each component and have that perfect synergy. Not everybody has that inclination nor the patience to go on that journey. But if you're willing, it can be pretty awesome, pretty spectacular, even at affordable prices. So depending upon your budget, depending upon what you're looking for, I would start with an integrated amplifier. These are three great choices. There are a ton of other products out there that will check the boxes for you as well and pump that sweet, sweet music into your ear holes, into your brain housing unit. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have Patreon-only Zooms. We also have a Patreon-only Facebook group. You can also sign up for Tidal or Amazon Music. There are links in the description. Click on the links, sign up. If you do, I'll get a couple of dollars. You can also use the links in the description for any of these products. Those are affiliate links, which means if you click on them and you buy something, I do get a commission. However, it doesn't cost you anymore, so it's a great way to support the channel. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen through your new all-in-one integrated amplifier and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.